Everyone, even the people who think they have the worst memory in the world, everyone remembers something exceptionally well. There is a huge range of what people remember especially well.
Actress Marilu Henner today on Now I've Heard Everything. Buell Thompson. What did you have for lunch yesterday? Where did you celebrate your birthday in 1981? What was your fourth grade teacher's name? Well, there's a pretty good chance you probably won't remember more than one or two of those things. Maybe you won't remember any of those things. But what if you could remember all of those things and more effortlessly? Well, you can. You can improve your memory beyond what you think you can, says actress Marilu Henner. Now, she is one of only about 100 people in the world with an ability called hyperthymesia. And that's just a fancy way of saying that she can remember virtually every detail of her life, going back to her childhood. Now, in 2012, she wrote a book called Total Memory Makeover. And in it, Marilu Henner explains how even if you don't have hyperthymesia, you can teach yourself to remember lots more than you think you can. In just a moment, my conversation with Marilu Henner.
This is one of the more than 10,000 interviews that noted radio personality Bill Thompson did over a 30-year span. Sit back and relax, unless you're driving, in which case, keep your eyes on the road.
So here now, from 2012, Marilu Henner.
Yeah, I have to tell you, when I first got your book, didn't know anything about it other than the title. It was by you, and I'd seen you in 60 Minutes. The first thought I thought was, wait a minute, isn't this sort of like, Stephen Hawking saying, you too can be a genius in physics? I mean, because you've got this great gift. I was thinking, what could you give me? And then I opened the book and started realizing, you've given me your gift.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Wow, I'm really touched by that. Most memory books are about memorizing lists and decks of cards and people's faces and stuff. My whole thing is about taking what I do naturally, taking what I've learned from working with other people in classes and seminars throughout the country. Way before 60 Minutes, I was doing this because it was always the subject of memory has always been very curious to me. I've always been very interested in it. I was always trying to teach people, no, when you memorize a phone number, don't just think, oh, this, the sound of it or whatever. Associate it with some date, associate it with something in your life, something that means something to you. When you're making a grocery list, don't use extreme grotesque images to think of, a carton of rice dream, not milk, a loaf of bread, things like that. Mentally walk through Whole Foods and try to tax your brain a little. So it's using things from your life, but it's really about uncovering your past in a way where people don't quite realize how much is really still in there. And then they go through their lives and a song on the radio sparks a memory, or somebody touches you in a certain way, and it's like, wow, why did I just start thinking about, my cousin or my schoolyard person, somebody on the schoolyard. It's memories are in us, and they're living there all the time. You just need someone to poke around a bit.
I was on an elevator once, and I smelled something when somebody got on. Their cologne was such. Just for an instant, I was 3 years old in the back seat of my dad's baby blue Chevy Impala. I saw the little skunk hanging from the... Everything came back.
Everything comes back. Everything comes back if you tickle your mind with these different prompting exercises. And if you say, okay, let me take this ride for a while. Let me figure out, okay, she's asking me to do this. She's asking me to do a sense memory exercise. She's asking me to smell something or taste something or look at something or hear something, listen to something or touch something, and these things come flooding back to you. And all of a sudden, you now have the framework for bringing in other memories as well, And if you play to your strengths, either your dominant sense or being able to identify what I call your primary memory track, it's certainly going to help you barcode other things in your life against this track.
Now, when you say a track, you mean do you primarily remember by sight, by smell, by sound, that kind of thing?
Well, when I say track, I'm saying that everyone, even the people who think they have the worst memory in the world, everyone remembers something exceptionally well. I have never sat across from somebody or taught a class or, worked with someone in some way, online or whatever, without where there wasn't some one thing they remember exceptionally well. Now, some guys forget their wife's name, birthday, anniversary, but they remember a game they saw 30 years ago, who was playing, what the score was, who dropped the ball, what they were drinking. Some people remember every place they've ever traveled, or 90% of the places, and then the others start coming back. They also can remember, what they wore or what they ate or what they weighed or I've heard bats. I've even heard bats. So there is a huge range of what people remember especially well. And if you start with that primary track and start just thinking about, okay, well, that vacation, let's say travel. Let's use travel because that's the example I use in the book because of my brother who always says he remembers nothing. It's like, okay, in 1981, oh yeah, I went to Europe that summer, and you start bringing things back. And you do these exercises in your own time, put as much or as little into them, but just use them as memory prompting exercises and start watching what happens. I mean, things start firing up in your brain in a certain way, and you go, wow, there's a lot more in there than I realized.
After this short break, Marilu Henner tells you how to deal with the bad memories.
AI is not just for 22-year-old coders. A lot of us older adults are drawing on our life experience to find unique and creative ways to use AI, at home or at work. Got an AI success story you'd like to share? Tap the link below to visit our YouTube channel, AI After 40, and let's keep learning together.
Now back to my 2012 conversation with Marilu Henner.
Sometimes when I'm bored in the car and I'm driving somewhere, turn off the radio and I'll play 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Where was I 5 years ago? What car did I drive? Where did I work?
That's great. You do this naturally too, because I used to do that as a little girl. I would lie in bed and say, okay, what did I do a week ago? What did I do 2 weeks ago? And that turned into, what did I do this exact day in the school year a year ago? Or what did I do when I was my younger brother Lauren's age, my niece Lizzie's age, and now it's my kids. Now I have so much fun saying, okay, what was I doing when I was exactly to the day?
But see, sometimes it's a little frustrating for me because how little I remember about certain times and certain years and certain cars that I drove, that kind of thing.
But they start to fill in. Would you say cars are your track, since you're saying cars a few times?
No,
I've heard cars, by the way.
I tend to be kind of like job-oriented. In 1981, I was working here and I was doing that. And
so jobs are your track. And if you started getting more and more extensive with your memory prompting within, if you documented it or whatever, you'd look at it immediately and go, okay, all right, so that job, who do I remember interviewing during that job?
See, that's the thing. Well, that's why I write the stuff down, because I had to go back to my written records to find out the last date you and I talked. You knew it off the top of your head.
Yeah, I knew. August 20th, yeah. Yes.
But I keep records for that reason, because when I go back to those, I say, oh, that's right. I remember I had both Dan Rather and Chuck Colson that same day. That was interesting.
Yes, and it was a Thursday. August 20th of 1998, when I was here. Ate a chain restaurant.
Do you think
the restaurant still exist? It was a vegetarian restaurant. Oh.
They change so often. They just come and go so quickly here. It's like Oz. But do you find, though, you get asked a lot, what about the bad memories, the things that most people would like to be able to forget, and most of us are successful at forgetting until somebody brings it up. But that's one of the most common things you get asked.
I do. And I always, Dr. James McGaw, who is kind of the memory, the number one scientific researcher for highly superior autobiographical memory, or HSAM. He wrote the foreword to my book as well, but he's the man that everything's kind of been filtering through. He proved long ago that memories are tied to adrenaline, that we always remember those highs and lows of our lives. He did a whole experiment with rats and proved that, when adrenaline was, that the rats remembered where the little platform was. Anyway, that's why we remember things like 9/11 especially well, or President Kennedy's death, for those of us who are old enough to remember it. And I keep saying you're going to remember those bad things anyway. So twofold. One, why not cushion it with some of those sweeter, more mundane kind of dailiness, our town moments that I know are in there as well? And why not, instead of turning those bad memories into emotional boogeymen, why not explore them in some way and really see them so much that the pain and the sting of them is not, you don't feel victimized by it, but you feel on top of it in a way because you have seen the entire panorama of everything that's involved in it. And it becomes much less, black and white. You start to see the nuances. I used to say the shades of gray, but now that means something completely different. So I have to, change that. But
I couldn't help it. I mean, I've only got a few seconds left, but I see on Amazon all the reviews of your book, and people say, this is the most amazing memory book I've ever read.
Oh, thank you. I know it's been, the response to it has been just extraordinary. And I think maybe because people were always thinking and looking at their memories one way, and I'm saying, well, just try it a little bit from my perspective, because I've been kind of a memory person my whole life without even realizing it. I just knew I had a great one. And so maybe if you start tapping into your memory this way, maybe it's going to make sense to you. I mean, one of the things I talk about in my book that's had real impact is the 4 types of memory retrieval: horizontal, vertical, mushrooming, and sporadic. And because sometimes controlling memory is like trying to control a dream or whatever. It's like, take the ride, whichever way your memory is being prompted for you, kind of say, okay, well, I was trying to think about this. Instead of going, oh, no, I can only think about this. If your memory starts to take you somewhere else, it's like, what's around that corner? Let me see where that memory is taking me. So kind of enjoy the ride that you're going to have.
Marilu Henner is 73 now. And, oh, by the way, what did you have for lunch yesterday? Now, you can get your copy of Total Memory Makeover by Marilu Henner by tapping the link in our show notes, by clicking the link in the description below if you're watching this on YouTube, or by going to our website, heardeverything.com. We may earn an Amazon commission if you make a purchase. Heardeverything.com is where you can also find my 1996 conversation, which I remember, with the amazing Kreskin.
I'm a showman. I dramatize what I do, but I have actually a $50,000 offer that's been well publicized for the years to anyone who can prove I employ paid assistants, Confederates.
And my 1996 conversation with self-described psychic warrior, former Army intelligence officer David Morehouse.
I was brought into a unit that opened up the most bizarre world known to man. We train selected individuals to transcend time and space, to view persons, places, or things remote in time and space, and to gather and report intelligence information on the same.
And of course, we post new episodes of Now I've Heard Everything every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and you can find us everywhere you find podcasts. And thank you so much for listening. Next time on Now I've Heard Everything, we go back to 1991. For my conversation with a veteran cartoonist, creator of Dennis the Menace, Hank Ketchum.
I started out being Henry Mitchell, but now, go away, boy, you bother me. I can understand and sympathize with George Wilson.
That's next time on Now I've Heard Everything. I'm Bill Thompson.